Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the City Social with two of my favourite faces in football, Alex Hylton and Walter Smith, absolute legends, the blooming rising crew. Guys, you all right?
Yeah, it's all good, especially after last night's walk in the park. So it was, certainly brightens the mood up. Yeah, it's all good.
How are you, Alex?
Yeah, not too bad. Sun shining, City win. There's not too much you can complain about.
No, it's all good. Let's get on to that win last night. It was fun. It was nice. I think we'd all accept the City were just comprehensively the better team than Burnley. But there's a few standout stories and a few takeaways from that. Go to you, Walter, first. What stood out from the game last night for you? Was there any particular thing that kind of springs to mind?
It was probably about 7 o'clock when I read the lineup, and Pep wasn't messing about when he said he was going to make changes. I think it was 8 changes that he made. Just think the absolute depth that we've got.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the Burnley bench, and that was another story in itself. I know Graham Souness said it was the strongest Premiership bench ever. So that's sort of high praise. It just shows you the depth of quality that we've got. That was my standout initial thoughts. And we normally beat Burnley, but you just worried a little bit, I suppose, with these unique environments that they're playing in. Burnley were on quite a decent run pre-lockdown. So to come away with that kind of victory and that kind of statement, it's just great to have Manchester City back.
Alex, have you been surprised by City's form, I guess, given everything? Because, there could have been it could have been a lot ropier than it had any right to be, but City have been good, basically. Are you surprised by that?
Yes and no. I think when we talked about last week about how teams will react to lockdown and coming back, and some teams will come back fitter and better conditions. And no disrespect to the performance and the quality that we've got, but I do think City look a lot fitter. Phil Foden, I think when he came on against Arsenal and when he played last night, looked just faster, like a Duracell bunny compared to the other players on the pitch. And I think if you compare City's performance to, say, Liverpool and Everton at the weekend, the game last night, City just look a little bit faster than most of the rest of the league. I think we just look in great condition, and we come out looking like the team that went into lockdown, whereas the other teams that do look slower, they don't look particularly like match ready. A lot of the other games have been like pre-season games. And City last night were immaculate.
What do you put it down to? What do you put it down to in general?
I've got absolutely no idea. I don't know if that's just... I think we've got a really strong squad mentally.
Yeah.
I think we've got a very big squad mentally as well. And I think, a big squad in terms of numbers, which say Burnley, for example, don't have. Burnley operate, I think, on like the same 16 players pretty much in their starting 11. Whereas we're fortunate that we've got 25 players that could all start a Premier League game. So I guess that helps. I think we've got players that don't mess around. They're all absolute model professionals, each and every one one of them, certainly in terms of how they look after themselves. Except Kyle Walker.
Well, he was keeping his fitness levels up, put it that way. So,
I don't know. But we've come out of it looking really good. I saw a little bit on social media last night of people getting their title hopes back up. I wouldn't go that far.
Imagine the scenes, bloody hell. Oh, if he could just, it'd be incredible.
It's the hope that'll kill you.
No, he's not going to. We're obviously not going to do that.
No,
it won't happen. But it's good to see us in great condition, and I want to see that continue because what we have got on is the Champions League, which may or may not still happen. And if it does happen, and they're talking about this mini tournament, or in whatever shape it is, or if it is a one-leg event with Real Madrid, if we are playing as well as we are, then who knows? This could be our year in that sense.
It's good, isn't it? Walter, talk to me about Phil Foden. Philip Walter Foden, actually, I think is his middle name, Walter. I'm pretty certain it's Paul said it was. And I'm pretty certain it is. He was good last night, wasn't he? Is this his time now?
Well, it's got to be. People talk about, it makes me laugh. If Phil Foden scored a hat-trick, last night, people are still sort of banging on we should be sending him out to Coventry or somewhere. Again, I thought it was
wartime stuff, isn't it? Sending people to Coventry.
Well, this is true. Coventry or Birmingham or one of these Championship teams. But I thought it was interesting. Again, a second time I'm mentioning him. Graham Souness was talking, and he said the idea that he became a lot better player when he moved to Liverpool because he was training with world-class players.
Yeah.
And he just said that it gets that movement of thoughts a lot quicker. You speed up your own game in training, and then you take that to play some of the other teams in the league, and you're head and shoulders above them because you, as a group, you improve each other. And it slightly goes back to what Alex was saying before. We've got a big squad, and nobody's guaranteed a place as such. And that's why, with no disrespect to Burnley, if you're the centre half for Burnley, you're going to be playing even if you come back slightly podgy. You're not quite motivated because there's not another person like a Garcia or whatever coming looking at your place. But Foden, I was thinking about this. He's not a direct replacement for Silva. He's got a little bit of De Bruyne in him. He's got a bit of that Yaya almost in him, with that sort of the ability to move up the pitch. And let's put it this way, those shooting boots are certainly a lot more prolific than David Silva's.
He's a goal scorer, isn't he? He really is.
He is a goal scorer.
And I saw some people saying on Twitter today, could he end up being one of our best ever? I mean, could he reach those heights because he's that young and that talented already?
Someone said, and I don't know how true this is, so you can quote me on it, that he's got more goals than Jack Wilshere now in his career. So, you're thinking...
Keep talking and I'll do the research right now for you.
Well, I just thought to myself, sometimes as City fans, we do look at our squad and we are overcritical. We criticise players where if they went into any other team, practically out of the top 6, they'd be the best player in that team. So our standards are super high. But Foden, to get into that midfield with the quality that's surrounding, and I love the fact that after the game he was humble. He was saying he would like to see David Silva stay on for another year, and because he's learned so much from him, and he just seems like a good egg. I think that's probably the best way to put it. With all the talent in the world. And let's get this right, City aren't going to be the only ones that benefit from that. He's got to become a mainstay for England as well.
One of our good friends, and you know who it is, but I won't say because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but he works very closely to Manchester City. Said Phil Foden is one of the loveliest lads he's ever met. I don't know why I get him in trouble saying that, but anyway, a friend of ours basically says Foden is great, which kind of adds to it all, doesn't it? That we know that he's such a nice guy as well. And I guess it shows his humility as well, and the fact that all he wants to do is go fishing with his dad after games. I mean, that's I don't know, it's something kind of charming about that, something lovely, and the fact that he wants to have a kickabout in the park as well with fans, I guess. Really, it's kind of really, it's just down to earth. Basically, it's nice. Alex, I mean, obviously at the moment he's kind of playing on the left. Do you still see his long-term future in the middle, or is this kind of thing where he can establish himself for a couple of years?
Really, I think he's a very complete player, isn't he? I think you could play him out wide, you could play him as a sort of number 10. I think as he gets older, he'll probably. I'd like to see Phil Foden get on the weights a bit. I think would give him that extra bit of bite to really complete him. For what about expression, I think there's so much that mirrors him to Steven Gerrard's. I think because initially at the start of his career, Steven Gerrard was a little bit wider player, but then played his best football in the middle and could really control and dominate games. And I think it's the same sort of storyline that we're getting that Liverpool had with Steven Gerrard coming through the academy and being woven into the club as a fan and as a young lad, and then going on taking the club. And Gerrard will probably manage Liverpool at some point. I think let's not get too carried away with
Phil Foden manager in 2035.
Well, in 2035, how old will Phil Foden be? He'll be 35.
Okay.
I know.
That's how young he is. He's 20.
That's crazy.
He's 20 years old. He was born in the year 2000. How mad is that? And I think here's the thing with Phil Foden. I've got two quite conflicting opinions on them. Number one, we shouldn't big him up too much, because I think England have done it 1,000 times with all sorts of players, and City have done this in the past with other young players that have come through. I think just let him play his football, let him develop, acknowledge him for what he is. And that is the root of this, because the second point is we need to stop babying it as well. Don't treat him like a kid anymore, because Phil Foden has played 28 games this year. He played yesterday on merit. He was one of the best. He came off the bench. He'd be instantly one of the best players on the pitch against Arsenal. He earned himself a start against Burnley. He covered every blade of grass on the pitch. He made Burnley look like a second division team. Scored 2 goals. Was great contributing to play all the way through. He was in the squad, not because he's a young lad and he needs some experience, because he was genuinely the best option to play against Burnley, a mid-table Premier League team. So you don't talk about him going out on loan. We don't need to talk about him. Give Phil a game. Just give Phil a game because we're 3-0 up. Give Phil a game because he's developed past that point now. We should be talking about players like Cole Palmer or Jaden Broth, the next group of young kids. Give them a game when we're 3-0 up. Because Phil Foden, we should be looking at him. I've not got the stats in front of me, but I would suspect he's played a similar amount of football to, say, like Ilkay Gundogan. I know Foden's a bit more attacking than Gundogan, but it's that sort of player that maybe isn't an instant starter, but he's definitely in the squads on merit. But on the flip side, he is just a squad player. Let's not get excited and talk about him lifting the Champions League for City.
He's there on merit. He was the best player on the pitch, but don't get carried away.
No, don't, because equally we do this, and it's so woven into English football. Someone yesterday said that they're going to predict, they're going to put money on Foden winning the Player of the Tournament at Euro 21. It's just like it's a week. He's had a good week. No, let's not. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
I think he's the best player in the world, and I think you're being a pussy, Alex. No, I'm joking. No, I entirely agree. The temptation is to get carried away. I think it's because he's one of our own, and that means something to us. And it's like we've not had that for some time. And given his immense potential, and he was rightfully man of the match last night, in my humble opinion, anyway. It's hard not to get carried away. On a negative side, Walter, looks like Aguero's out for the season now. For the rest of the season, potentially could be back for the later Champions League games. How big a blow is this? Obviously, it's Sergio. Gabriel Jesus, can he step into those shoes?
The big boots to fill, aren't they? That's the only problem. It's difficult, isn't it? If you could get him back for those Champions League, because in some respects, the Premier League doesn't overly matter for us. We're fine-tuning towards the Champions League. And I say that because we're 17 points, is it, above fifth? And then we're 20 points to the next team above us. So we're playing for nothing. We're playing to get fine-tuned towards the Champions League. So if we can get back for them, all well and good. If you can't get back for them, well, it's in some ways it might be a blessing that Gabby J gets a decent run in the team, and the more he plays, the better he looks. So it's not an ideal situation because Aguero is Aguero, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Gabby Jesus is arguably one of the best sort of second-tier strikers in the world. In other words, not a genuine starter for his team. So he's not a bad option to have. If we went to sell him, we'd get a pretty penny for him. Yeah. So it's not ideal, but it is what it is. And let's get this right. There's going to be a lot of teams suffering with a lot of injuries. We're just looking at our own, but the amount of injuries that are going to happen because players are just sort of landing into the middle of with no decent pre-season. And that's not just for us. That could be happening to Real Madrid over the next few weeks. So it's going to be interesting times. As long as it doesn't happen on a weekly basis that players are dropping out, I think we'll be fine.
Okay. I wanted to come to you, Alex, about Leroy Sane, because I know still a lot of City fans are torn in this whole situation. And honestly, I am not sure where I stand because I'm on the fence for this. I mean, there's an argument that suggests that having a fit and firing Leroy Sane could be a good thing if the injuries start to rack up because he's a high-quality player. But also, there's an argument that suggests that, well, he's burned some bridges. He's going to leave Manchester City. Should this be a chance to give one of the kids a go and kind of develop into the squad? Where do you stand on it? And were we happy to see him back on the pitch last night?
Yeah, I think if he's at Manchester City, play him. We don't owe Sane anything. But he owes City something. I don't buy into this idea that he's betrayed us or anything like that. I think we've got to look at it the way Leroy Sane sees it as well, the whole transfer saga. And I don't really see much difference in the way the German media have treated Leroy Sane and how the English media have treated. What's the past tense of treat? Treated?
It's Tret, Alex. It's Tret, obviously.
I like the word Tret.
The way that the German media behaved around Leroy Sane is not that different to how the English media have behaved around Jadon Sancho. And I think we've got to forget, Leroy Sane has won everything in English football. I don't think it's wrong.
You say that again.
He's won everything there is to win in English football.
Louder for the guys in the back.
He's completed it. So if he wants to go back to his home country and play for the team that are almost certainly going to win the German league and win the German Cup and probably the things that he dreamed of doing when he was growing up as a kid, I think let him go. He's been an awesome player for us. It is a real shame. I do want him to be here forever, but he's clearly an ambitious young player. And I think he wants to achieve everything that he can in the game. And if he feels that he can do that at Bayern Munich, they've got just as much chance, if not a better chance, of winning the Champions League that City have in future years. So yeah, cool. Thank you. I think if he wants to play, if he's going to give everything on the pitch for us in these last few weeks, last few months, then let's have him. He's an elite player. So we've basically got him on loan from Bayern. Let's make the most of him.
I mean, I do feel like he's basically gone now. But once again, as you said, these injuries are going to happen. Well, potentially going to happen. We've already had one. So we're at a situation now where, weirdly, Aguero's injury could open up the door for Sane, where because Gabriel Jesus will have to play through the middle, which means he won't be playing on the left, which means it'll be Foden or Sane or someone like that. And if we want to win the Champions League, it could be a good send-off. Walter, I mean, do you share the same views as Alex on the Sane situation?
Yeah, there's no point being bitter. We're talking about a kid who's grown up in Germany. He's German. You know, when he scored goals in the park, he'd have, you know, shoved his shirt over his head, said something in German. I don't know any German, and pretended to be a Bayern Munich player. So, you know, put it this way: there's not many players that have left City since the takeover that we were desperate to keep hold of. So to get this far along, 10 years, 12 years, it's all good. We're going to get a decent amount of money for him. Hopefully we can put a swap deal in for him. Would I play him? I'd play him against Bayern Munich. That's what I'd do if we got in the Champions League. Go and show your worth there, son. But for me, there's no point being bitter about it. It's football, you know. It's a young man fulfilling his ambitions. I would say good luck to him, but yeah. Good luck to him.
Just finally looking forward, which game's more important, Chelsea or Newcastle? Obviously, you've got a big Chelsea game. Newcastle's a quarter-final. I know it seems kind of self-explanatory, but are you expecting Pep to... Which game do you think Pep will focus on in terms of the team? Because he's made a lot of changes recently. I think it'll be a case he just changes 8 players again, Alex.
Yeah, I think he certainly will. I don't think it will be like the same 11 that play in both games. I don't think Pep really works in prioritising games because he tries to win every single game for better or for worse. And I think he'll just play the best team that he thinks will beat Chelsea and a team that he thinks will beat Newcastle. He'll split his squad as he has done so many times in the past. Personally, I'd rather we throw absolutely everything at the quarter-final and getting through because we've got to try and win everything that we can.
Yeah.
And as we've already said in this video, the league is pretty much a write-off and Champions League, touch wood, looks pretty nailed on should we not be banned, as it were. I would like to see us throw everything at the FA Cup, but I don't see why we can't beat both. I think we're in this weird point where we've not been as good as Liverpool, but we've been much better than the rest of the league.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely no disrespect. I don't think we should underestimate Chelsea, but I do think they're in a period of transition and we're just that class better. I think we could possibly afford to rest 1 or 2 players. And still expect a good result. Is that something I'm going to regret saying? I don't know.
Well, it could come back to haunt you, but that's the internet. That's why we do these videos, just to be mocked 2 weeks later, basically. Guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of City Social. It's been a pleasure having you on. I'm really enjoying this kind of regular chat with you two. I missed you, so I'll be honest. It's nice having you back anyway. And I'll catch you. Likewise, I'll catch you after the Chelsea game if you want to. For now, though, guys, make sure to give this video a like, all that kind of stuff. Go and follow Alex and Walter, their Twitter handles will be at the start of the video. Give this video a like, go check out the match reaction, and there's probably a 5 things learned video as well before this video. This one will be going out at some point in the evening as you're watching this, so just go watch all the videos on my channel. Again, why not just watch them all 4 times? It'll be nice. For now, though, I love you all loads, and I'll see you soon for another video.